Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Just a Point of View. I'm Denise Reed, and we're continuing our deep dive into the 4 pillars of your professional happiness tribe. I've been exploring all things mentors and connections to improve myself, and I hope that what I share today will give you a boost up. So grab a pen and a piece of paper because you may want to take some notes. Last week we talked about mentors, our North Stars. So today I wanted to focus on pillar 2, your peers, your fellow travelers, if you will. And here's what I've learned after watching hundreds of professionals interact at the concierge office suites and tons of professional association meetings of which I've been a part of. And the right peer relationships can be more valuable than any mentor because these people are fighting the same battles you are right now. So the peer advantage, I wanted to explore that, like why fellow travelers or peers matter the most or could matter the most to you. At the concierge office suites, we have a diverse client base that naturally support each other, like our attorneys, our C-suite members, banking, investment, sales professionals. These people all have common denominators amongst themselves and the clients that they serve, both as customers and their management, if they do have management over them. So given the right environment, they share referrals and collaborate on projects and actually can provide industry insights. And let me share an example. Having served on several boards, networking and referring business constantly, I am always seeking opportunities to meet the needs of our clients as they have opportunity to share them with our team. But recently, one of my business connections offered an opportunity to speak at an association that she was part of. And I was able to share that need with the National Speakers Association of Georgia members. So this is just one example of a meaningful connection to a peer group. And maybe some of my examples will help you think about your peer group. So what makes peer relationships unique? And I started thinking about that. And of course, I plugged into AI to see what it had to offer in the wealth of information in the ether. And here are some examples. Peers have real-time relevance. See, they're facing similar challenges right now like you are. Maybe not exactly what you're facing, but you can at least share some back and forth in real-time relevance. There's no hierarchy pressure. You can be vulnerable without feeling less than whoever you're sharing with because you're almost equals or very close in nature to your relationships. All right, you might want to think about the mutual benefit. Everyone gives and receives equally, or at least that's the premise in a peer group. And consider honest feedback. Your peers will tell you the brutal truth about an experience where mentors might sugarcoat it a little bit. So Keith Ferrazzi, I believe is how you pronounce his last name, Farrazzi. He wrote and researched Never Eat Alone. And he states that peer relationships are 3 times more likely to result in business opportunities, more so than hierarchical relationships, because there's a natural reciprocity from peer to peer. So that's a win, I would think. And let's explore the 4 types of peer relationships that you actually need to be developing in your circle of influence and connection. So, one is an industry mirror. Now, an industry mirror is someone that's in the same field, but maybe a different market than you are. So, your challenge might be finding executive suite peers who aren't competitors in my case. And my solution was to come up with operators in different geographic markets that I could connect with. So I've connected with executive suite operators in Nashville, Tennessee, in my home state of Tennessee, and we share strategies without competing with one another. So we can refer business to each other. We're 2 hours apart and similar experiences in our locations and the markets that we serve. All right, here's another idea, is a skill swapper. Now, these people have different industries, but similar challenges. So a challenge that I faced was a connection I made this morning was speaking to groups, and she didn't enjoy meaningless chit chat, but she loved to write and she loved to be on the stage. And I asked her if she was doing any podcasting or video casting. And I shared my fun experience creating Just a Point of View, my podcast here, as a solo act. And I told her, I said, it really works great with my hectic schedule and I don't have to worry with guests because I don't have any. And it's been a fun creative outlet for myself and for my business marketing. And I shared with her that maybe she should create an AI video cast that read her written work back to her audience, and it would result in a speaking opportunity and increase her marketing exposure. She was excited when I emailed her some suggested platforms to develop her content through AI. And we had a great connection today over the phone. All right, here's a third one, stage sharers. That could be similar business size entities or actual stages if you're a speaker. Your challenge might be that you feel like you're the only one facing a particular issue, maybe like scaling your team. So look for professionals that have similar struggles to yours or complementary interests and share your struggles with them. An example would be whether you're running a law practice, a marketing agency, or an executive suite. You pick your poison. And the challenge of hiring your next employee can be remarkably similar between all of these business entities. In fact, I started going to my clients and asking if they knew someone that they would want to work with when we previously had an open position here at the Concierge Office Suites. Just one example of a stage here, someone else that had a similar challenge. All right, here's number 4, the accountability partner, someone that is goal-oriented and as driven as you are, so you can find that common ground. I was wanting an accountability group for myself so we could benchmark our progress and milestones with one another. So I took a play from Napoleon Hill's Mastermind concept. In fact, he said in Think and Grow Rich, it was the coordination of knowledge and effort in a spirit of harmony between 2 or more people for the attainment of a definitive purpose. So you're gathering for a purpose to collaborate with each other. So I took Napoleon Hill's idea for a mastermind group and went a step further. I developed a set of 4 questions that were posed weekly in a mastermind group that I hosted and created a framework of accountability for everyone that participated. And we met and collaborated for almost 3+ years, and we still remain friends to this day because of that desire to hold each other accountable for just a 1% improvement a week. So the Harvard Business School shows that peer learning groups, let me get the S on the right place, increase performance by 25% compared to an individual learning on their own. And I can testify to all of these experiences from the industry mirrors that offer the same field and different markets, the skill swappers with different industries and similar challenges, to the stage sharers with similar business sizes and stages, and last but not least, accountability partners that are goal-oriented peers. I have experienced all of those opportunities to connect, and I am a better person for it, just saying. So where and how would you find these fellow travelers, these peers in business? Beyond networking events and strategic peer building, here are some opportunities for improvement if you would like to play along. Consider going to industry adjacent associations. Join some groups where your ideal peers gather, and even if it's not your exact industry, an example for me would be commercial real estate associations versus executive suite operators. Have you thought about your opportunity to connect with an industry adjacent association? Or maybe you might want to consider a mastermind group, and specifically the concept that Napoleon Hill developed through Think and Grow Rich, through the coordination of knowledge and effort and the spirit of harmony between two or more people to attain a definitive purpose. A true mastermind, as Napoleon Hill suggested, is not someone speaking from a bully pulpit. It's a group of people coming together as iron sharpens iron. So think about the magic that happens when everyone brings their expertise to solve another's problem. This is your chance to connect with a peer with real meaning for you and your connections. You could also consider an online community with real depth. A Facebook group, a LinkedIn community can actually create a sense of belonging with the right leadership and input. Focus on quality over quantity for the real magic to happen. Look for groups where people share real challenges, not just promotional content. It's got to be the give before you get experience to really have positive impact. You may want to also consider a speaking circuit connection. If you're not a speaker, that's okay. But if you're using speaking to promote your business, you'll want to create meaningful one-on-one or small group opportunities before and after these speaking events. A prime example is the National Speakers Association of Georgia. I ride down with a speaker friend of mine to go to Atlanta for the in-person meetings. Or I'll go into our group conversation and offer referrals for speaking locations for speakers. So people who put themselves out there are often open to real, meaningful connections. All right, here you go. Create or host gathering spaces. I'll share some examples. Here at the Concierge Office Suites, we host Word Spinners, which is a local Toastmasters club. We meet on the second and the fourth Wednesday of the month from 6 to 7 p.m. And we also host the Social Media Action Club, i.e. Smack, because you feel like you have been smacked when you're dealing with social media. But we are hosting those two groups. So we create natural peer connections here at the Concierge Office Suites by offering that opportunity. So when you create and share an environment, the right people will appear, especially if you promote it. And that environment can be a physical location, like my executive suite, the Concierge Office Suites, or it could be an online opportunity if you create the right environment. So my question to you is, where are you going to create your next opportunity to build a better business or career? If you sit on your hands and do nothing, it's not likely that you'll be moving ahead. So here is another opportunity: the art of peer relationship building. It's the vulnerability factor to make people realize you don't have all the answers. So share your struggles and your wins. And sharing these moments makes you a real person. Like asking my clients for referrals for someone that they wanted to work with. When we had an open position here, it actually created some meaningful, amazing connections to choose from when that position was open. So vulnerability creates connection, not weakness, and take advantage of the opportunity to share some of your vulnerable moments when appropriate. All right, here's the give first philosophy. It has impact. In fact, our business concierge team is always engaging with our clients to create a referral mindset for information that we have to meet our client needs. And we share knowledge, connections, and resources before asking for anything. In fact, some people that have come and toured here before they've ever signed up for any of our virtual office or private office opportunities, we've offered information about the Chattanooga community if they're just now moving here. All right, here's another thing to think about as you're building your peer-to-peer network. It's going to be a long game strategy. And an example of this is our client business relationships have a 6+ year average, with some of our clients having reached 27 years of doing business with us. And we think that's pretty darn amazing. In fact, peer relationships compound over time, and we work to invest in them consistently. It's evident when our terms are typically month to month with a 60-day notice, unlike other commercial real estate terms that are offered in the market. It speaks to a lot of what we do to serve our clients. In fact, Brene Brown's research in vulnerability in professional relationships references that teams that share struggles perform 40% better than those that don't collaborate and connect. So don't think that being vulnerable won't have a positive impact. All right, we're getting to our final segment here, making peer relationships work in practice. In fact, the Concierge Office Suites Peer Success Formula includes regular check-ins. Like our Mastermind questions, create a structural cadence for yourself and your peer network. 2, have specific asks. Don't just say, let me know if you need anything. Offer a scheduled check back for your peers to say, hey, you've shared this with me. When would you like me to check back to see how you're doing on the goal that you've set for yourself? All right, number 3, cross referrals. Actively look for ways to send business to your peers. People appreciate it when you remember that they're looking for a particular something. All right, 4, celebrate your wins. We as entrepreneurs and business owners sometimes forget that celebrating a win is important, and sharing it with someone else makes it even more meaningful. So be genuinely excited about your peers' success. Offer an opportunity for a milestone moment to celebrate them. All right, here's number 5. Share your failures. Yes, your failures. The real learning happens in the struggles. All right, here I have to give some red flags that you'll want to consider. If your peer relationships are always taking and never giving, red flag. Competing instead of collaborating, red flag. Share your wins but hide your struggles, red flag. Only reach out when they need something, red flag. All right, here is your fellow traveler, your peer challenge and opportunity for improvement. This week, identify one professional challenge that you're currently facing. Now, think of the 3 peers you might have that might have faced a similar experience. Reach out to one of them, not for advice, but to share your experience and ask about theirs on a particular subject or opportunity. Sometimes just knowing you're not alone in the struggle is exactly what you need to push through. And remember, the best peer relationships are built on mutual support and genuine care for each other's success. So when you find your fellow travelers, your peers, the journey becomes so much more enjoyable when you share them together. So next week on Just a Point of View, we're diving into Pillar 3, your mentees, your legacy builders. And until then, keep chasing happiness fiercely with the people who truly get the journey that you're on. So I look forward to seeing you next week. Have a great